subscribe. This reaction, and I saw this late last night. His reaction is all you need to know.
Make sure they deny. What do you think they're going to run here?
Game first season opener ever in the history of this league.
And I want to know who she's talking to. Bree January is on the right side right here drinking. Who could she have been asking this question to?
Where both teams...
That moment right there when he takes off the headset and the glasses isn't just a reaction. It's a coach watching everything she predicted come true. Because what we just witnessed in that timeout huddle reveals something far more disturbing than one bad loss. Stephanie White, in the final minute of a season opener, asked her coaching staff, "What do you think they're going to run here?" That's not strategy. That's panic.
Hey, sports supporters, well, we've got the continued fallout from the Indiana Fever loss to the Dallas Wings at home in the home opener to a team that won 10 games last year. The fallout is getting, the fandom getting loud. By fandom, I mean Caitlin Clark fandom. You had a lot of things coming out of that. You had the great mystery of back injury. Is it a back injury compensating for something else? Was it a hip flexor? Was it
the Indiana Fever just lost their home opener to the Dallas Wings, a team that won 10 games last season. 10. And they didn't just lose, they gave up over 100 points in a game where their defensive-minded head coach promised a completely new identity. The fallout isn't coming from traditional Fever fans. It's coming from the Caitlin Clark fan base, and they saw this disaster coming from miles away. The social media numbers tell the entire story: 1,500 likes to nearly 400 likes to nearly 4,000 comments on the team's final score post. That ratio is a death sentence.
I think I stressed enough in my reaction video yesterday is the second team, the second unit, the bench is not good. It's not. I said yesterday, I watched the Liberty play the other day. The game had gotten so far away, they had their second unit. Their second unit would beat the living shit out of our second unit. They'll run us out of the building. If we're not careful, they will.
Here's what makes this particularly damning. The second unit, the bench players who are supposed to provide depth, is not just bad, they're catastrophically outmatched. Watch any Liberty game and their second unit would run the Fever's bench straight out of the building. This isn't speculation. This is what happens when you prioritize defensive-minded players, yet end up with a roster lacking length, overloaded with guards, and missing the versatility everyone warned about during the offseason.
Oh, I was having a conversation behind the scenes and we were talking about automatic wins. The only automatic wins we could think of behind the scenes in a conversation between 3 or 4 of us was the Sun and the Fire as automatic wins against this team. Everybody else got a chance. To be real, you notice
the roster construction is only half the problem. Behind the scenes, people who've been watching and consuming basketball for 40 to 50 years are being dismissed as casual fans who supposedly don't understand the game. That's the narrative coming from certain corners of fake media. Meanwhile, those same fans just watched 2 years of the best basketball on earth at the college level. They know what elite offensive systems look like. They know what proper player development resembles. And what they're seeing in Indianapolis doesn't match either standard.
Here we go. So the Fever posted this, the final score. Holy hellfire. I mean, 1.6 thousand likes to nearly 400 comments. That is not the ratio that you are trying to see. Fire White, no size playing CC off ball. She does what she does, not work. Then talks trash about Caitlin Clark fans. Look in the audience, what do you see?
The comment section reveals the true depth of the frustration. Fans are pointing out that Aaliyah Boston grabbed only 4 rebounds, questioning why Raven Johnson isn't getting more minutes, and directly calling for specific players to be traded because they contribute nothing on the court. And the most telling complaint of all, why is nobody setting screens for Caitlin Clark when she's getting hacked all night? These aren't casual observations, these are basketball fundamentals that simply are not being executed.
Like we haven't spent the last 6 decades watching the best basketball on earth. We know what it's supposed to look like. Yeah, I mean, if you grew up in the 80s and 90s and the early 2000s of the NBA, you know what real good basketball is supposed to look like. Find a coach that can build around Clark, manage Mitchell, or trade her. Make this team something people wants to watch. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Messy. The Wings shot their asses off. I'm not worried. Okay. And there they go again, not me.
Let's talk about what happened with Caitlin Clark specifically in this game. She had what can only be described as a complete shocker. For most of the night, she looked like someone who couldn't get comfortable, couldn't find any rhythm, and couldn't settle into the flow of the offense. Compare that to her college performances where the offense was specifically designed to maximize her strengths. The contrast is jarring. Aaliyah Boston, who dominated in college, now appears slow and lethargic in a Fever jersey. These aren't coincidences. They're symptoms of a system that clearly isn't working.
Coach of the century. Oh, snap. Not the Joker. Not the Joker. You forgot the 80s leather jacket that continues to show up. That continues to show up like this is a bad 80s music video. Have to play more defense. They let the Wings get a lot of open shots. And then you have Dantis fouls within 10 minutes that kept Wings players going to the lines. Stephanie White asking anyone, what do you think they're going to run? Because she has not a clue.
The defensive performance might be the most damning indictment of all. The Fever brought in defensive-minded players. They hired a defensive-minded coach. And somehow, the defense became 100 times worse than it was last season. The Wings got open shot after open shot. Careless fouls sent Dallas to the free throw line repeatedly. This wasn't a close defensive battle, it came down to late game execution. This was a systematic failure, where the game plan simply didn't work against a team that won only 10 games last year.
Trash defense, uncoordinated offense, a lot of work to do. Boy, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you now. Defensive-minded players made sure that the defense became 100 times worse than last season. Honestly, it's pretty clear to say fire Stephanie White. How the hell does AB only got 4 rebounds? Why is Raven Johnson not playing more minutes? MHA and DD are effing trash. Cut or trade them. They do nothing. Give Caitlin the effing ball. Why does no one on the Fever set screens for Caitlin when she is literally hacked all night and nobody cares? Very pathetic Fever. I hope either Caitlin Clark quits on you, you lose every game.
Now, here's where things get really uncomfortable. Some fans are completely done. One commenter flat out said, "I'm a Washington Mystics fan now," and switched allegiances entirely. Another predicted that Caitlin Clark will either quit on the team or lose every single game. These aren't empty threats from random trolls. These are people who showed up, bought tickets, packed the arena, and then watched their worst fears get confirmed in real time. The energy inside that building during the loss tells you everything about where this situation could be headed. If things don't change quickly, the infighting has already begun. You've got Fever fans turning on Caitlin Clark fans. You got Caitlin Clark fans turning on the coaching staff. You've got influencers desperately trying to push the everything is fine narrative, while the comment sections are actively revolting. And through all of it, you've got a coaching staff that in the final minute of a game is asking each other what play the opponent might run instead of confidently directing their own team. Here's what nobody wants to say out loud. The only automatic wins people can identify for this roster are against the Sun and the Sky. Not Toronto, not any middle-tier teams, just 2 teams. That's how low expectations have fallen after only 1 game. When your realistic win total starts shrinking before the season is even a week old, you've got a fundamental issue that goes far beyond roster construction or coaching philosophy. The mystery surrounding Caitlin Clark's back injury only adds another layer of concern. First, it was reported as a back injury. Then it might have been hip flexor or maybe even a groin issue. The broadcast kept throwing out conflicting information, and everyone watching at home was thinking, here we go again with the injury management questions. They're calling it precautionary, but after watching her get physically beaten up all game, with no screens being set and no protection from officials, fans are starting to wonder if this is what the entire season is going to look like. Think about the broader implications here. The WNBA just had its most watched season opener in league history. The Indiana Fever have the biggest draw in women's basketball. The arena was packed. The national spotlight was there, and the product on the floor was a disjointed mess that lost to a 10-win team from last season. That's not just disappointing for Fever fans. That's a missed opportunity for the entire league to showcase why this season matters. The Stephanie White situation is becoming impossible to ignore. She left Vanderbilt, where the program reportedly went up in flames under her leadership. She came to Indiana promising a defensive identity and a culture change. Yet, in the very first game, during the most crucial moment, she was looking to her assistants for answers instead of providing them herself. That clip of her asking, "What do you think they're going to run here?" is going to haunt this coaching staff if the losses continue piling up. What makes this even more frustrating for the fan base is that they predicted all of this. Go back and read the offseason comments. Fans pointed out the lack of length, the overload of guards, the questionable roster construction, and the concerns about whether this coaching staff could actually develop offensive talent. Every single concern that was dismissed as negativity or not understanding basketball just played out in front of 17,000 people in Indianapolis. The contrast between how Caitlin Clark is being utilized now versus how she was used at Iowa is impossible to ignore. At Iowa, the offense ran entirely through her. Screens were set. Spacing was created. Her teammates clearly understood their roles. In Indiana, she's spending stretches playing off-ball, receiving minimal protection, and looking completely lost in a system that doesn't seem designed to maximize what makes her special. That's a coaching decision. That's a system failure. And here's the thing about basketball fans who grew up in the 80s and 90s, they know what good basketball looks like. They've watched championship teams. They understand offensive flow, defensive rotations, and proper player development. So when they watch this Fever team and say, "This isn't it," they're not being casual or uninformed. They're recognizing that the fundamentals simply are not there. The social media backlash isn't going to calm down if the performances don't improve. Fans are already calling for Stephanie White to be fired after just one game. They're demanding trades. They're questioning every roster decision. Some are even abandoning the team entirely. This is what happens when you have the biggest platform in women's basketball and waste it with a product that doesn't match the hype or the potential. So here's the question that's going to define this season. Does the Indiana Fever front office realize they have a crisis on their hands? Or are they going to dismiss this as one bad game and hope things magically improve? Because the fans are waiting around to find out, they're already making judgments. They're already losing faith. And in a league that desperately needs to capitalize on this moment of unprecedented attention, the Fever are fumbling the opportunity in spectacular fashion. If you're a Fever fan watching all of this unfold, drop a comment and say whether you're still optimistic about this season or if that Dallas loss confirmed your worst fears. Because based on what we just witnessed, this team has a lot of questions to answer, and not much time left to figure things out before the fan base completely turns on them.